What's going on, everybody? It's your man C. Dougie here, coming to you talking about joint practice. Man, we have a special guest joining us. It's not just one collective; it's a group of young men that are joining us. We got FPFO joining us, talking about joint practice. They have been having boots on the ground during training camp. If you have not followed them on Twitter, you are missing out on great content from one of their own, posting videos, posting clips, posting tweets. Been boots on the ground, man. Let me go ahead and bring up these two gentlemen that are going to join us. We got JJ and Terrence over there at FPFO, man. Go ahead and tell the people what's up, man.
What's popping, man? What's popping?
What's up,
Appreciate
man?
you having us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate it. What's up, man?
Yes, sir, man. So how you guys feeling with training camp? You know, week 1 has passed. We're in, if I'm not mistaken, JJ, this will be practice 12 or 13 going into week 3 of training camp. How you guys feeling so far, man?
For sure. I think you're right on with your number. Overall, I feel good. I want to say probably sometime last week, after probably about practice 5 or 6, I tweeted out that our ceiling to me is 9 and our floor is 6. I will say there has been a tad bit of fluctuation with that, but it's really not significant. I think overall we've looked really, really good. Like you said, for the most part, I've been at camp every day with the exception of Fan Fest. And, you know, I've seen a lot of development. I've seen a lot of good things. I've seen a couple of bad things. When Terrence came, which I'm sure he'll expound on, when they came, you know, we had a tough weekend. But overall, it's been solid, and I've seen a lot of good things overall for sure.
Yeah, like you said, when I came, well, I would say my record prediction to start off with was 7-10. Just know when I went to practice, it immediately dropped bare minimum 1 game. I went down to 2 games just for my safety and for my mental. So we're sitting at 5-12 with me. Like, that was one of the worst practices I've ever seen. It looked terrible. And I know, you know, JJ and a lot of other people have said, like, it's been on an uptrend since then. I'm just not like they gotta make me a believer. And then based off what I've seen in the preseason game, like I know that doesn't show a lot because a lot of the players weren't playing, but it just didn't make me feel good. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So I would just say don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, I'll have to agree, man, because when I look at it, I mean, we all drank the Kool-Aid last year. We thought Frank Wright and his coaching staff, this Avenger coaching staff, was going to be spectacular. You know, we were a quarterback away, not knowing we had a lot of holes in offensive line. Then you have, you know, scheme and personnel not matching with play on the field. So it was almost like a hard reset for me. You know, I personally really thought long and hard going into the draft. Craig, I mean, you know, C. Dougie, we can't really go into what we did last year, meaning, oh, we got this player. We got Xavier Legette. We got Jonathan Brooks. You got a JT Saunders. Dave Canales is a quarterback whisperer. Okay, that's all good and dandy, but you have to lower your expectations based off of what happened last year. Is it fair to Panther fans? Absolutely not. we should not have to lower our expectations based off of what's been going on since David Temper has taken over the reins of the Carolina Panthers, which is a different topic. But as of right now, I like what I'm seeing. This is preseason. You can't take a lot into preseason, but what I can say is these live reps that we're going to get this week with the New York Jets coming, trust and believe it's going to be a lot of Kool-Aid that's going to be poured. It's either going to have that sugar in it or it's going to have no taste. So I can't wait to really talk about it with these two gentlemen going into this preview, man. Before we get into it, man, this episode is sponsored by our sponsor over here at What's Up, Doug, SeatGeek. If you need tickets to go to any concert, any game, even something local, SeatGeek is the place to go. If you use the code What's Up, Doug, that's in the description. Again, that's What's Up, Doug. You get $20 off your first ticket price with SeatGeek. Appreciate SeatGeek sponsoring the channel over here at What's Up, Doug. So, fellas, like I said, we're gonna get into it, man. I know a lot of people are upset. Like Terrence already said, we only had 31. I think we had 31 starters out. That's a lot of starters to be out. The offensive line didn't look too hot. We had wide receivers that are promising in practice, dropping balls. Defense looked very solid, but as a team, this is a team game. You know, we only were able to put out three points. So for me, I think going into this week, again, hopefully we have a padded practice on Monday, and Wednesday we have a practice, and Thursday is showtime. We saw what happened last year with Hard Knocks when the Jets came in. You had players saying that they dominated our offensive line. You had certain players did not play because of injury, but again, a lot of my takes are going to come off of this week, going to be able to see it in person, but also food for thought going into the season.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that there may be a couple of similarities. There may be a couple of similarities to last season. One of the biggest things that I'm interested to see is that offensive line. I'm sure you guys probably heard Damian Lewis has been relatively sporadic with his practice appearances. I think that he was a go on Sunday. However, that hasn't really been consistent. We've seen a lot of injuries in that second unit as well. So one of the things that I'm definitely gonna highlight or gonna be focused on for real is definitely that second and third unit, and definitely the offensive line overall.
Yeah, it's scary, man. I'll be honest, because a big thing from last year was the offensive line struggles and how Bryce had to, kind of maneuver around that offensive line. But like based on the practices that I went to, like we were told that, we got a revamped offensive line, went and paid Robert Hunt as the highest guard in the NFL. And then I had to go to a practice and see Robert Hunt sitting in Bryce's lap still. So that kind of scares me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. And so I definitely think they'll be battle tested coming up with this joint practice. And I'm not, and JJ will tell you, I'm not a big believer in that defense as of yet. So I think this will really kind of separate the illusion of, is our defensive line, is our front seven really that good, or is our offensive line really that bad? So I think that this joint practice is definitely gonna put emphasis on that. And I would love to see the corners get battle tested as well, because I don't feel strong about that group either. So I think Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, like guys like that, they'll have something to say about that room as well. So this will show a lot, like you said, Doug. This is going to show a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Doug, you're muted, baby.
We can definitely jump into that, and I'm glad JJ went ahead and talked about it. We're going to talk about offensive line.
Let's get into it.
Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Thursday night, you had Cade Mays, Chandler Zavala, Ricky Leach. Yes, people can say Cade Mays did have a couple of pancakes, but he also had some missed opportunities as well against the against the New England Patriots for week one. If these are our twos, and let's just say a Robert Hunt, a Damian Lewis, a Austin Corbett go down, I know how people feel about Icky and Taylor Moton, but if one of those 3 interior offensive linemen goes down, this is not a good showing from your second string going against some of the first teamers for the New England Patriots. Then when you have Taylor Moton and Damian Lewis already missing practices, even if it's for personal days, but I know with Taylor Moton having 2 vet days back to back, that's not a good showing already in a new scheme. And also when you need to get cohesion with an offensive lineman and a different partner beside you. Then I know the challenge of Austin Corbett. We already know how Austin Corbett is. He's going to get Shot Tuttle. Shot Tuttle is not no Quentin Williams. When you really need to see what Austin Corbett's going to be able to do, you'll be able to see that here come Thursday at this joint practice. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to JJ and Terrence so they can go ahead and jump into it so we can really talk about this offensive line that is a question mark again when we paid $150 million for 2 guards. Did we overpay on 2 positions and probably should have upgraded more positions on offensive line? Who knows? But trust me, when this pressure in this front 4 of the New York Jets comes to Charlotte on Thursday, you'll know if that question will be answered or not.
Yeah, and I'll just go ahead and say really quick, JJ, before you take over, you got to think about it. New England, Christian Barmore didn't play. Matthew Judon didn't play. So, some of those guys on the line were New England starters, but these wasn't even the real demons for New England's defensive line. So that is scary, especially like when you have to see live reps of obviously we haven't seen Robert Hunt in the game yet, but when you have to see live reps of these guys still, missing blocks and missing assignments, and it's kind of reverting back to that same offensive line as last year, which is kind of scary. But yeah, I definitely agree that this week is going to show a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just kind of going back and then looking to the future with the joint practice. I thought that overall the second and third string offensive line, I think overall they had an okay day against the New England Patriots. Zavala more specifically, really just because, if you look at the PFF grade on what he did last season and you just look at him overall, don't shoot the messenger, but just based off of that, one of the worst offensive linemen in history since PFF has been, created. So overall, I thought he had a solid day. You talked about K Mays and those pancakes that he did have in the pass game. The down part about that is K Mays now, just based off of what Dave Canales told us on Sunday, is hurt. He's now officially hurt. He has the AC joint. He has a problem with his shoulder right now. Josh Nijman is another guy that is offensive lineman we brought in for depth. That is officially hurt right now and has absolutely no timetable. So yeah, that offensive line, it looks a little scary when you talk about the depth. Now I will say the first team, like you mentioned, Doug, the first team, they should be solid. But the question comes in is when anybody gets hurt, if that should happen, God forbid. We already know the story. I've spoken about this multiple times on Move the Chains, which is, you can find on the G2S network. After practice, I record and drop the video every single day. I've talked about it multiple times with Austin Corbett. The snaps that he's delivering to Bryce are ass. And I hate to, I try my best when we go on different platforms.
You good? Speak
the
truth.
I got to, bro. I had to, because I don't see enough people talking about it. People, and I won't mention any names, but specific beat writers and things like that, they try and make stuff look sexy and they try and sell us, like you say, on the Kool-Aid. But yeah, that's a problem. The snaps being delivered by Austin Corbett so far have been a problem. And then you talk about the interior line, more specifically when they go up against Kinlaw and they go up against Williams, there is a question mark there. All
right, so hold on, JJ. Let's get the names because you just named 2, but let's name them all.
For sure.
So, as we know, you got Jermaine Johnson,
yes,
Quentin Williams,
yes,
Solomon Thomas, Levi Futa, and then Javon Kinlaw, all coming to test this offensive line on Thursday. Right now, I'm giving the Jets D line all the props. Like, you got to show me. You got to show me.
Yes.
You got to show me.
Yes.
Luckily, like I said, I'm going to be there. And I'm telling you, if you guys want a post game, or post practice, we can do that because yes, you can look at the skill position, but if you can't protect your quarterback, it doesn't matter who you have out at wide receiver. It doesn't matter who you have out as tight end. It doesn't matter who's in the backfield and that running back. If you can protect Bryce Young, we're good. We're good. Because that's one thing Bryce did not have. He didn't have protection, nor he did not have weapons. But when you bring in a Quentin Williams, that's going to go against your first year starting center that said, oh, I've always wanted to play center. We're going to really see where the ball is in your court, Mr. Corbett. You can say all that, oh, you guys can miss me with, oh, I've been injured or this, or that. Put your money where your mouth is. That 150 need to show up on Thursday. That's all I know.
Hey, it's easy to do that chatting. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to do that chatting when you're going up against guys that, all due respect, we know what Derek Brown is. I'm not going to disrespect him by any stretch of the imagination. But respectfully, you going up against Shy Tuttle. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Facts. Say that again. You going against who?
Respectfully, you going up against Shy Tuttle.
Thank you.
And I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to rub nobody the wrong way, but we just got to be honest. Shy Tuttle is not them folks up in New York. He just simply is not. So he will be challenged. Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis. Now, I will tell y'all, I don't know 100% what's going on with Damian Lewis. I don't know what the injury is. But again, his appearances at practice have been extremely sporadic. We haven't seen this offensive line completely with all 5 of them, I want to say, but one day during live, and I can't even really recall if the offensive line, the starting 5 went full team when they did full team reps. Now I know Damian Lewis was at practice. I saw him doing individual and things of that nature, but we really haven't seen this offensive line in totality with all 5 of them go live. So they are going to be challenged, bro. They really are. They are going to be challenged, and it's not just them. I wish Hassan Reddick wasn't in the midst of his contract dispute or whatever he got going on with the Jets right now. Because if Hassan Reddick was coming down too,
that's another name.
Icky and Taylor Moton, we got to see about y'all too.
Yeah.
Because, Taylor Moton had a solid year last year, and the shit is cute, but it's still a question mark there as well. Because I'm gonna go ahead and say this for the record, and again, I'm gonna try and chill, whatever. But that back to back vet day shit, I don't know where they getting that off.
Yeah.
After you finish 2-15, like I get it. You want to monitor the reps, you want to do this and that. You want to make sure nobody's getting injured, preserve your body going into the season. But nah, bro. Nah, that's not the type timing we on when we win 2 football games. And a big part of the reason was because of your unit. And you're supposed to be the leader of that unit. So I got to challenge you, Taylor Moton. I do. And Ikem Ekwonu, especially, again, one of the largest. I've said this on Panthers Fans Only multiple times. Me and Terrence have re-emphasized this point. One of the largest regressions that we've ever seen from year 1 to year 2, Ikem Ekwonu looked like a totally different player. And then for you to have the audacity, and I will say it was very self-aware of him, so I'll give him credit on that front. But for you to have the audacity to say that you felt like you had arrived, and you felt like really, for lack of better terms, you felt like you were the shit. And that's the reason why you got our future not even our future. That's the reason why you were getting our franchise quarterback's head torn off, because you felt like you were the shit. Nah, bro. So there definitely is going to be a lot of things that we see for sure on Thursday against the New York Jets, and it starts up front. That's where the game is won and lost at. We all know that. If you know football, I think we can all agree and acknowledge the fact that the game is won and lost in the trenches, and that offensive line will be tested on Thursday.
Yeah. And I mean, I just wanted to say this because I really don't have much to say about the offensive line, just because, like, I'm just so off of them right now, man. Like, just like what I need to see from Ick, I don't even know if this season can make up for what he did last year. He had me so pissed off. And it's like, I'll be happy if we never in life, as long as the Carolina Panthers is a franchise, go and get another offensive lineman from the North Carolina State University. And I'm right up the road from it. I just don't ever want to see us go touch that university again when it comes to offensive linemen. Because Chandler Zavala, mud. Ick, mud. And so it's like, bro, they're really going to be battle tested. And I guarantee you, based on the way this joint practice is going to look, this is going to tell you a lot about how that offense is going to look as a whole going into next season. Because y'all made a lot of emphasis on the depth part of it, but I think there's a lot of question marks in the starting rotation. Like before we can even get to the backups, like there still has to be a lot of questions answered in the starting lineup. Like we got Austin Corbett. And for him to go out and say what he said, I don't even know whatever y'all said he said. I don't even know what he said. But for him to even open his mouth when he can't even get the snap up, when there's nobody in front of him, when we're wearing T-shirts and a helmet, and I still see you snapping the ball in the dirt, that's a problem. That's a problem because what were y'all doing this offseason? The road to the Super Bowl starts before training camp even starts.
Preach, Terrence.
Like this is you shouldn't come out to training camp and like this is the time where you're like, okay, we're gonna start prepping now for the Super Bowl. No, if you were a new center, you got a new quarterback. This is something that you should have been working on well into the offseason, well before the offseason even started. Because this is fresh for both of y'all. And so, like, for me to have to watch like the ball going into the dirt or even the snaps that are up, if Bryce has to come to the side to catch the ball, come down here to catch the ball, like that's still throwing off the timing that it takes for him to get the ball out to the receiver. So like you said, Doug, it doesn't matter about the weapons that we have around Bryce. I know that was a big thing going into the offseason that, you know, Bryce needs more weapons. Bryce needs an offensive line. But like you said, those weapons mean nothing if we can't protect the quarterback.
And before we go into Bryce, I want this point to be made too about the offensive line. You had 60 plus sacks. Yes, people say most of those sacks, half of those sacks were on Bryce for holding the ball too long. But if you look at it, what the New York Jets did to us during that joint practice and in that preseason game, we were able to see how the season went just based off of that. And it was no lie. So is this another pivotal joint practice and preseason game knowing what the offensive line can do? I don't know. I mean, that's just an omen that I'm thinking. Again, you got to think the Jets exposed our offensive line. We said, oh, it's just it's joint practice. It's not, there's no way of one player got 11 sacks when they're doing one-on-ones and when they were 11 on 11. If that
Can
does,
I say something? No, can I say something just to cut in real quick?
Go ahead.
Another thing that we saw with this offensive line last year was Brian Burns for the duration of the summer looked like a top 2 pass rusher, right?
Yeah.
The same thing right now is happening with Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney up to this point has been my camp MVP, and that just goes to support your point that a lot of similarities that we saw last year, something that we're kind of seeing right now. So hopefully during joint practice, that's not the case. But I'll pass it back over to you. But I wanted to throw that in there just real quickly because that was something that me and Dunk talked about earlier today. Was the fact that Brian Burns was kind of doing similar things to what Jadeveon Clowney was doing against his O-line, and we thought it was just because of Burns. Well, in all reality, that wasn't 100% the case for real.
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, O-line. You definitely, right now, I don't have a chart, but I'll give it to the Jets D-line right now. And I didn't tell Terrence or JJ this, but right now, I would say the New York Jets have the upside against the Carolina Panthers against O-line versus D-line drills right now.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and say, believe everything that you see next week in joint practice. Believe everything that you see. Because, like you said, we drunk the Kool-Aid last year. We thought it was Brian Burns. Brian Burns went into the season looking very mediocre. And I've been very vocal about Brian Burns on FPFO. Everybody knows where I stand with him. But, yeah, he was giving it up like that in training camp. But when we got into that season, he looked very mediocre. So believe whatever you see when it comes to joint practice. When Quentin Williams start going crazy, oh, yeah, believe our offensive line is that soft. When Jermaine Johnson start going crazy, oh yeah, believe Ick and Taylor Moton is that soft. Believe everything you see. That's all I gotta say, because I guarantee you this is gonna show you what you need to know going into the season. Because even with the preseason game last year against the Jets, We seen the way Bryce was taking them hits, and we automatically was like, get him out of there. Get him out of there. It ain't looking good. Get him out of there. Got teed off on. I mean, bad. Like, they were just out there having fun with it. So, yeah, believe everything that you see this week. That's all I'll say.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, let's go ahead and talk about Bryce. The hoopla, you can say the tabloids, the concern. Bryce and the starters didn't play week 1. And I will put this as no action Bryce. Now you get to see the action with Bryce Young. Now you can't hold back. You can have all the security there where, you know, my guy JJ, all the content creators ain't gonna be able to possibly record or whatever. We hoping we gonna be able to, but you gonna see Bryce against another defense come Thursday. It ain't gonna be, he gonna have that jersey on where you can't touch him, but it's live action. It's gonna be, if it's batted balls, bat the ball down. If you got that pressure, put the offensive lineman on his butt. If he overthrows, trust me, it's going to be a lot of takes, like Terrence said, coming to Thursday. This whole week of practice, leading up to Monday, break on Tuesday, practice Wednesday before they come here. Everything that you see this week is going to be very vocal of the progression of Bryce, or has Bryce been the same against competition? So for me, I think, was it important for Bryce to play week 1 in preseason? Absolutely not, because he has the opportunity to play a joint practice with the Jets and then play in the preseason opener at home against the Jets. So for me, I can't wait to see what Bryce can do against another defense other than the Panthers defense.
Just to go to the point of like, was it a problem that he didn't play week 1? The only way I'll part ways on you with this is that I hated having to see other quarterbacks who are already established in the league playing. Like, I look and I see CJ Stroud, he played a few drives. I see Justin Fields, he played a few drives. Like, I've seen a lot of quarterbacks play a few drives, even though, like, you know, we would think that they already have their starting job, like they'll be, you know, sitting down week 1. So that's the only thing that I would say. I would have liked to see him get some reps in, and maybe that's just because I haven't been at all the practices, so I haven't really been able to see exactly all I would like to see from Bryce, like to see that progression, which I've seen some things, and I've heard like comments and stuff from JJ, from other like analysts and stuff like that, how he has gotten better. But I am ready to see him in some live action, and I would have loved to see him, you know, in that action during week 1. Now, the only thing that I could say, like, that I understood why he wouldn't have played, if they knew the whole time going in that this wasn't going to be the starting offensive line, or like our day 1 starters wouldn't be out there. So not really wanting to put him under, you know, these mediocre guys, with all due respect, putting him behind those guys and, you know, risking him of injury because they can't really block. So that's the only thing I'll say about that. But I wanted to see him take some reps during the preseason, or at least week 1.
Got you.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Initially, when the news broke that he wasn't going to play, I had a couple of comments to make for sure. But then I will say a couple of people got in my YouTube comments and they kind of changed my opinion on it. I was okay with the decision not to play Bryce Young. I mean, because it wasn't just Bryce Young. It was 32 other names on that list of an inactives. So, you know, I think that Dave Canales knows what his approach is. I think that Dave Canales has an idea and an understanding on what he wants to do, where he wants the team to be at certain benchmarks within the preseason and training camp and things like that. And I think realistically that played a part in it. And then, of course, also we saw the rain. Somebody in my YouTube comments the other day made the comment about Cam Newton. We know what happened the last time we played the New England Patriots in New England with that turf. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So it could have been more of a preservation thing. Obviously, you're going to be home this week. We expect the weather to be a little better rather. So, you know, just off of that, I ended up being okay with that decision. And really transparently, I don't know if I really want to see Bryce during the preseason. I really don't. Because I what I know about this fan base, honestly, and I have contributed to this, so I will take responsibility and accountability. But what I know is this fan base likes to overreact to a lot of small things. So what I know is the fact that if Bryce Young comes out and does play 2 or 3 series against the Jets in the official preseason game, or does play 2 or 3 drives against who do we have for week 3?
Bills.
Yeah, if he comes out and plays against the Bills and he just doesn't look, where people want him to be, then our fan base is going to tweak out, and it's like a damn if you do, damn if you don't. Because if he looks good, then it's a once again we're drinking the Kool-Aid. If he looks bad, it's a we should have Jack Plummer as quarterback 1, right? Because we saw that shit. We saw the narrative trying to be built already during preseason game 1 before, like prior to the game on Twitter. I saw people saying if Jack Plummer comes out and throws for 3 or 4 touchdowns, then he should be quarterback 1. Like that,
Yep.
our fan base is incompetent at times. They say a lot of dumb things. And so I'm okay if Bryce Young doesn't 100% play in the preseason. I am going to know, because this is the reason that we're here ultimately. We will see, and me personally, I will see everything I need to see as it pertains to Bryce Young come Thursday, because the full pass will be on.
Facts.
And it won't be you understanding the tendencies of your defense, you knowing what EJ is going to run. It's not going to be none of that cute shit. It's going to be another team that's coming in here to make us. Yep, it's going to be another team that's coming in here to make a statement, and that's when I'll see what I need to see from Bryce Young. Because if again, people that have been paying attention to Move the Chains and what I've been saying, Bryce Young by far looked the best he ever has in the Carolina Panthers jersey, with the exception of the Green Bay game. By far looked the best he ever has in the Panthers jersey last Tuesday during practice. So I think that there's progress there. I think that he's grown a lot as a player. I think this playbook and this scheme that Dave Canales has is extremely beneficial for Bryce Young. It leans a lot into his strengths as a quarterback. And ultimately, the season is right around the corner, but right now I'm not really tweaking about Bryson. I'm not overreacting, on anything that I see or hear, because time will tell. Time will tell, and Thursday is right around the corner.
I just want to say one thing before you go real quick, dog. Just about the Jack Plummer comment. I'll go on record and say Jack Plummer might be the worst quarterback that I've ever seen in my life. And I'm being completely honest. Like, that guy's terrible. I don't know how he has an NFL job. I'll be honest. It made me really want to go and, look back at his Louisville highlights to see what we seen in him. And I damn near just want everybody that's in that scouting region to be fired. That's how terrible Jack Plummer looks. But I will say that one thing that did make me excited was, even though Jack Plummer looked bad and didn't really give the receivers opportunities to put anything on tape, and Dave Canales said that earlier today, I think, or either yesterday, that it was hard to evaluate the receivers because the passing game wasn't where it was supposed to be. But I will say that the plays that I seen that were designed for Jack Plummer, I think that Bryce will succeed well in that type of play design. It was a lot of, play action rollouts. Bryce really had the opportunity. He would have had the opportunity to okay, do I want to take off with this? Do I want to throw the ball downfield? He had a lot of guys on crossers. And Jack Plummer, he just had the inability to not make those plays, and which just was really pissing me off, honestly, as I kept watching the game. But it really made me excited about where that offense could be. And I think that Bryce will be well in this offense. He will do well in that style of offense. But yeah, I don't ever need to hear another fan say anything in regards to putting Jack Plummer even in the same conversation as Bryce Young, because Jack Plummer is dog shit, with all due respect.
Hey, I would say this, though. Going to the point where JJ was talking about the Jets scheming for Bryce Young, one thing that I need us to understand is we will see that improved footwork. We will be able to see that improved pocket presence. We'll be able to see them impromptu platform throws rolling out of the pocket. Because, again, you're not going against Evero's defense. You're going against Robert Saleh's defense that is, I don't even like the Monstars. Like, I hope people get that metaphor. We know how the Monstars were in Space Jam. Like, you're going against a great unit where you're going to, if you come out, Bryce, if you come out and look great, trust and believe, them tea leaves are about to change. You ain't got to worry about, oh, Bryce is still regressing. I mean, we don't expect you to win every rep. If you win every rep, that's an issue. That's a huge issue. But if you come out, have good battles against that D line and let me say that front seven, and then when you got a DJ Reed and a Sauce Gardner at corner, if you come out and do great with your offensive unit, with your unit, trust and believe you're going to turn a lot of heads. But it's a big if because we haven't seen it. Yes, we've seen it against the Carolina Panthers defense that know that you're untouchable, that we can't touch you. Yes, they're still going out there trying to get their rep, but nobody's trying to hurt each other because we're all on the same team. But you got somebody coming in your house on Thursday that's trying to prove a point, like JJ said, man. So
for sure.
Balls in your court.
Off of that, like you said, he proved it against the Carolina Panthers that knows he's untouchable. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, the Carolina Panthers secondary is questionable.
Facts.
They're very, very suspect. The Jets secondary, a little bit better.
Well, no, let's go ahead and get into it. You talking about secondary. We're not going to talk about the Jets secondary. We're going to talk about the Panthers wide receivers. Is the wide receiver issue finally correct or corrected, or is there still an issue? One thing that you really have to know is, and I already know, I'm gonna pass out to Terrence. I'm gonna be short because I already can tell he ready to go ahead and jump the cliff off on the wide receivers. But for me, Terrence Marshall and Jonathan Mingo, yes, it's one game. You had bad games. But when the ball hits your hands, and yes, maybe one throw was a behind throw by Jake Plummer, but when both balls hit your hand, Terrence Marshall and Jonathan Mingo, you have to catch the ball. This is live action. This is not practice. This is live action. You have Xavier Legette. Thank the Lord that we didn't lose him to a fractured foot. But this unit right here is going to be tested. When you have one-on-ones, just like O-line and D-line one-on-ones, I'm going to be looking right at one-on-ones when you have a Deontay Johnson, an Adam Thielen, Etzel, Jonathan Mingo, and Terrence Marshall. And I'm going to put a name in there that I think will get more reps, and I can't wait to see is Jalen Coker. I really think our wide receiver issue is still a question mark. Like JJ just said, our corners are suspect. Yes, everybody's loving the Deontay Johnson and JC Horn matchup. Okay, that's one matchup. But what have you done for me lately? Like I got over to two fans in the stand says, CJ, your best availability is your availability. And when you look at that, Sauce Gardner is a dog. Can Sauce Gardner hang Deontay Johnson in a bag? Or is Deontay Johnson going to get off? That's the true question. I ain't talking about an Adam Thielen. We know Adam Thielen's a short-handed underneath, guy. Can that Etzel get off from a DJ Reed? I really do not know because, again, what you do in practice is practice, but you practice the way you play. And one thing I need to see is with this joint practice, what can you do? Again, we don't need to win every rep because you lose reps to get confidence and go back and change something. But we just can't be dominant on one side and say the New York Jets come in here and just shut our wide receivers down. That's going to be another, tea leaf or put on the notepad wide receivers. I'm going to hand off to Terrence because, again, I can go on about this wide receiver room. I'm nervous about it, but I'm very optimistic if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said this. I think that wide receiver room is suspect. I'm not going to lie. Because the more I sit back and look, y'all can slander me for this. I know the fans might, but I really don't care. I think Adam Thielen is still our best receiver. And I know that that's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, being that we brung in Deontay Johnson. I see JJ already shaking his head. I really don't care. I think Adam Thielen, based off what I've seen, is still our best receiver. And that's scary. That's really scary, especially when I got to see. I know every time the ball is thrown to Adam Thielen, if it touches his hands, it's a catch. I don't know that with Deontay Johnson. I don't know that. You can take the top off of the defense, but when you do that, I still feel that little nervousness. Like, okay, are you gonna actually catch the ball? Like that's what I feel when it's with Deontay Johnson. And I've seen a lot of stuff in the practices that I went to. It looks like him and Bryce, as much as they say they are, you can tell in some phases of the offense they're not on the same page. Now I don't know if that's going to come with time. I don't really know how they're going to correct that. It can be corrected, but as of right now, it still looks like in some instances they're not on the same page. But with him and Adam Thielen, it's like clockwork. It's like clockwork. He knows where Adam Thielen likes to be. Adam Thielen knows where he likes to throw the ball. And as a vet guy, when you're put in a position to where you're playing with a fairly, he's not a rookie quarterback anymore, but second-year quarterback based on what he came off of last season, you got to make the plays for that quarterback, for his confidence, for your offense in general. So the ball is not going to always be thrown perfect, but as a vet in the league, and I would say Deontay Johnson is a vet compared to Bryce Young, compared to his tenure in the league, you got to make it a little easier on your quarterback. And XL, I've been very vocal about him. I'm not feeling it. I'll be honest. I'm not feeling it. He's been hurt a lot throughout the training camp. I remember he was dealing with something early on when like the blueprint came out. He was dealing with a hamstring or groin. Yeah.
Hamstring, and then he had the foot to start the training camp off.
And then he had the foot. And so I'm not feeling really good about that situation, especially when I see him play and it just looks like he's running in quicksand. And the media will get you gassed up on one throw, one catch a week. They'll make you think that he's high and mighty, but based on what I've seen, it ain't really living like that. I'll be honest. So I think that this wide receiver room is suspect in my opinion. And like you said, they've been going against mediocre corners. Like I'll be honest, like J.C. Horn, okay, like that's the best corner we have, and I think J.C. Horn is a very great corner if he can stay healthy. But these other guys like Deshaun Jameson, like Troy Hill, Boodle, Anthony Brown, who we just signed, like with all due respect, those guys aren't that. I'll be honest. Those guys aren't that. So this cornerback room is very suspect, and I feel like in certain instances they can make the wide receiver room look like they're better than they are. But I just think they're very suspect. I'll be honest.
Hey, JJ, real quick before you go. Terrence, answer this question for me. Would you hold out Excel this week, or you will actually put him out there? If he practices today, he practices on Wednesday, would you put him out there against New York Jets on Thursday?
If you're telling me he's fully healthy, yes. I personally need to see you. I need to see what you can do, and what better test is there to have than Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. Like, if you're what we believe that you are by trading up to get you in the first round, then I want to see you go against first round talent. And it's like, unfortunately, he's going to have I think Tavian and JJ hit on this. Unfortunately, he's going to have the expectations of a first round receiver, even though in theory, nobody had him going in the first round. But now that you actually win in the first round, like us fans and a lot of other people, like we're expecting this first round caliber play out of you. So I think if he's healthy, then I need to see him on the field.
Gotcha. Go ahead, JJ.
I have a lot of things to address. So, dog, if I get long-winded, just push me. Just push me and we'll move on. First things first, I've told my co-host this on multiple occasions, and I wish he would stop trying to push this narrative. But Adam Thielen is no longer the best receiver in that room. He's not. Deontay Johnson is miles apart from Adam Thielen as it pertains to his route running, as it pertains to him having the ability to win, as it pertains to his athleticism. Deontay Johnson is just far above Adam Thielen as it pertains to his ability to play the receiver position and to be wide receiver one. Is Adam Thielen shorthanded? Absolutely. That's been one of the things, honestly, that has surprised me all camp. Is I don't think I've seen him drop a damn ball. I don't think I've seen him drop a pass. So it's automatic money. Don't get me wrong, but he's not wide receiver one in this unit. He simply isn't. But he is another option, which, to go off of the main point, is a good news in my opinion. I know that we have a lot of question marks. Like I said, if I get long-winded, push me, but I want to try and address everything that Terrence said, as
Talk
well
your
as you,
talk.
dog.
Talk
For
your
sure.
talk.
For sure. But so you look at your 1 and your 2, which I want to say at some point or another during camp, just based off of the chemistry that Bryce and Mingo had been displaying. At one point or another, I had Mingo being wide receiver 2, but I still think that Mingo is wide receiver. I think that Mingo is realistically wide receiver 3 or 4. Okay. So you look at that. Jonathan Mingo has had a phenomenal camp. Just to build off of that, he's had a phenomenal camp. Obviously, we've heard the rumors, or not even really rumors. We've heard the reports that he worked with Steve Smith in the offseason, and it shows, bro. It shows. I will say his ability to win has increased significantly. His hands have increased significantly. Now, we saw the drop against the Patriots. I know everybody wants to tweak out about that drop and the Terrence Marshall drop. I'm not one of those guys, bro. I'm not one of those guys. I think a lot of things play a part in that. I think that the ball being delivered towards the ground, yes, you want to see your receiver make that catch. I think that played a part in it. I think the rain played a part in it in Jonathan Mingo's situation. And for TMJ, I think the corners relatively still had good coverage on them. And it was just unfortunately a pass that they didn't connect on. So I think that a lot of people have a lot to say and feel a certain way about this receiving core, because we saw what we saw last year. People are frustrated with Terrence Marshall Jr. This being year 4, him still not panning out to be what we thought he was going to be. But I think that our receiver room, I won't give an overall grade. I won't say we're here, we're there. What I will say is I believe that this receiver room is very, very much, much better than the receiving room that we saw last year, because you look at the depth. I believe, and I'll go ahead and say this too for the people, I believe you will see the Carolina Panthers take on 7 wide receivers. I do, because if you look at what the opportunities that Coker's has gotten, though they have been few and far between, every single time, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 reps, he's taken advantage of, and he's looked like he has to be on the NFL roster. And if the Carolina Panthers think for 1 second that they're going to be able to waive him and stash him on the practice squad, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I'm disappointed that Tompkins got injured and got waived like we saw on Sunday, because he was another guy, very, very quick, footwork elite,
Facts.
hands on point. Another guy that was going to challenge the roster, like we've heard Dave Canales say on multiple occasions. He wants guys that challenge the roster, and he was one of those guys. And unfortunately, just terrible, terrible timing with his injury. Because if that happened in week 2 or week 3, we would have been A-okay. Because I believe he probably would have made the roster. It would have been between him and Coker. But I think, like I said, bro, I think this unit has gotten better. I'll comment real quick on XL. I don't think you'll see XL practice. I think XL is going to be done for camp. And even if he did, I do not want to see him go against the Jets right now. I don't. I understand you want to be challenged. I understand. Yes, you're a round 1 wide receiver. He's not ready. I can tell y'all that right now.
So I'm actually glad you said it, though, because just like we gave the Jets D line, the head, if we're saying, who's going to win that battle, possibly. JJ, how do you feel about our wide receivers if Edsel is in that group come Thursday? Or if not, how do you feel our wide receivers will match up with the Jets secondary?
I think we'll be okay. We know Sauce is one of the best, if not the best, cornerbacks in the league. That'll be debated, whatever. That'll be debated for the eternity of time, with him being, the whole time he's in the NFL. I don't know, because I think that we have a lot of weapons, bro. And so if we're judging it based off of like when they go one-on-ones, if we're judging it based off of that, give me Carolina. Give me our receiving core. Because even, we didn't even talk about ISM. I think ISM makes this roster.
Talk about it. I didn't put him in there. Talk about it.
I think ISM makes this roster. And he's been extremely vocal in saying he's tired of people trying to put him in his box of just being a returner. Cool. He had the touchdown against Chicago. He returned it back to the crib. We get it. But ISM, bro, his route running ability, that shit hit different. I'm not going to hold you. So that's why I said I can see the Carolina Panthers bringing on 7 because you have a guy like him. Obviously, you have Excel. You got Deontay Thielen. David Moore has had a halfway decent camp. Coker when he gets his opportunities. So it's like the name.
Jordan Matthews. Don't forget Jordan Matthews.
That's tight
Jordan
end, but you're talking about tight end though, Terrence, right?
Yes, they have him listed as a tight end, but I mean, you can list him as a wide receiver too.
Okay.
I was about to say because not to cut you off, but if they have him listed as a tight end, or would we take Ian Thomas, Jatavion Sanders, Jordan Matthews, and
excuse my French. Excuse my
I
French.
already know what you about to say.
And Tommy Tremble.
Go ahead and get it out. I already know what you're gonna say.
But somebody is fucked. I don't know if it's in the receiver room. I don't know if it's in the tight end room. But there's no situation where you take 7 wide receivers and 5 tight ends.
That's why I'm asking you. Like you're clarifying. You said they have him as a tight end, but I think he had a fairly good game in the preseason against the Patriots. So I'm like,
and he's had a good camp.
Yes.
Well, make this point too. Go ahead. I was
I'll
gonna
say this real quick, and then I'll go to you, Doug.
Go ahead.
I'll say this real quick. If we're looking at the tight ends right now, I mean, we saw Sullivan got let go. Mm-hmm. So cool, we waived him. Tremble hasn't practiced since the first week. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Ian Thomas. So then we go what? Jordan Matthews? Because to me, Jatavion Sanders, as much as people, are high on him and things like that, he ain't really looked like nothing crazy to me neither. And to be honest, he would be tight end number 4 or 5. And I know that you're not going to cut your 4th round pick. So yeah, it gets kind of freaky. It gets
no, JJ, freaky. You got a good point because I'm just gonna pass the baton back over. I was gonna say JT Sanders. He did not play well against the Patriots.
No.
Like everybody was expecting him to outplay Matthews. Matthews outplayed your rookie, which in the good way, I can't say one thing and then go back on it. So I'm gonna say it. In practice, he's looked good. And I'm talking about Sanders. Sanders looks good in practice.
But some days.
Yeah,
in some ways. Some days he looks good.
But with practice, you have to show it in games. Yes, it's good that he's getting reps with the ones. Absolutely. I mean, I hate Ian Thomas went down. I hate Tommy Tremble went down. But he needed opportunities to go against ones, not 3s or 4s or 2s. So that's a good thing. But like Terrence and you were saying, JJ, the good thing, the hard choice with Dan Morgan and Dan Canales is somebody's going to get cut. The tight end room, the wide receivers. I don't want to be that person. I will say this bold prediction. There's no way Jalen Coker does not make this roster unless he gets hurt. And it may not be as bold because the money that we gave him, but I would just put that out there. There's no way Jalen Coker does not make this roster and he's not injured. So
I think that you have a point. I think there's a point there to be made. I may agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way. And I guess I'm gonna pass it back to you and Terrence JJ, but I really need to see what these wide receivers can do against comp. Again, one-on-ones, I can kind of agree. One-on-ones is just ball placement. Bryce, you got to be on point. You got to be on point, my guy. You got to be on point on Thursday. Now we're talking 11 on 11. That's a different story because now where Terrence said we're able to see, even with the bad play at quarterback, you were able to see those route concepts. That's one thing I will agree with Terrence right there. The route concepts on Thursday were great. The performance and the execution was not great, but you can see the openings where I want to say, was it Mingo on one pass? If Jack Plummer looked, Mingo was wide open. Open. I'm talking Mingo. About no, nobody was there. Yeah. Nobody was even in the area. That's one thing we weren't able to see last year. So you're not gonna have to worry about the separation part. We have to worry about the separation, but the route concepts and the scheme looks great. But again, on Thursday, we will finally be able to see it against another opponent. and you'll be able to see it with your ones, strength against strength, ones against ones.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be challenged. We're definitely going to be challenged. And like I mentioned earlier, that's what Dave Canales, has talked about. That's been his consistent message, is about challenging the roster. And I like that. There's a lot of stuff that is kind of questionable with Canales, but I'm a fan of a couple of things, and I like that whole mindset and idea of challenging the roster. And I believe that come Thursday, that will be the tall tale sign. Honestly, we talk about Coker. He has an opportunity to leave a mark, bro. He has an opportunity on Thursday to make that decision 10 times more difficult than one would have predicted pre-camp, because he's been solid. And I will tell y'all, honestly, with Tompkins being gone, to me, I think Jalen Croker might be the best route runner on this team, bro. Like that, and that may be even more bold prediction than the one that you initially made. But bro, his footwork, his release, like everything is insane, bro. Like I can't even put it into words, bro. Like every route, like he wins. Every route, bro. Like I've never seen anything like it. Every single route that he runs, he wins. So he may be really one of the best, if not the best, route runner on our team. I know people are going to make the argument for Deontay Johnson, but his footwork be looking crazier than Deontay Johnson to me. I'm not going to hold you. Now, he is going up against lesser talent, respectfully. So I kind of understand it there. But he is a dog, bro. He is a dog. But again, I'm excited to see this wide receiver room specifically be challenged, because I'm not going to lie, I've been pushing the narrative for the duration of camp that we no longer have a weapons problem. People will know, like, if you are a Bryce stan, and if y'all are familiar with FPFO, I'm on the opposite side of that, which I will say over this camp, I have let up significantly because I have been impressed with some of the things that I've seen. But if you're a Bryce stan, that argument and that stance of he don't have weapons, no longer applicable. No longer applicable. And I do believe that we'll get the opportunity to see that on display on Thursday.
Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, I couldn't close that segment any better, JJ. You will be able to see it, offense as a whole. Hopefully, everybody stays up. Nobody gets hurt between, now and Thursday. But as a whole, I'm really hoping from offensive line to weapons, everybody's full go. We don't have to worry about, somebody being out, or, you got to put a 2 or a 3 in. It's all go, all gas, no brakes on Thursday. That needs to be the saying. All gas, no brakes. But I'm gonna say we're gonna give one strength to us, and I'm gonna say D-line, Carolina Panthers D-line versus the New York Jets O-line. One thing that you can hurt this team as a whole with the New York Jets is their offensive line. Yeah, they went and got, old man Tyron Smith. He's still that's one human being that I can't wait till you guys see. I was able to see him here in Dallas when I went their training camp. When I say that man is a freak of nature and statue, Tyron Smith, you're gonna be like, I know we're gonna be right there doing joint practice. Y'all gonna be like, holy cow, I did not know this man is that, big, pause, but like you're gonna see the statue, how big this man is. But one thing Aaron Rodgers needed when he came to the New York Jets was protection. That's one thing that they faltered at. One thing Carolina, kind of Scott Fitter, I don't really like talking about the man, but he failed Carolina. He really didn't have any proper protection or proper pieces to protect your key pieces, your quarterback. But with Derek Brown, with Ashawn Robinson, with a Jadeveon Clowney, even though he's an outside linebacker / DN, that's why I call him, with a Clavion Chasen. I know DJ Wander's not going to be practicing right now. A DJ Johnson. I think our D line will be able to produce pressure on the New York Jets come Thursday. If you look at it, we know what Derek Brown's going to be. One thing that I think I even said underneath one of JJ's posts when he was at training camp, Imagine you have Clowney, DB, and Ashawn and DB do a stunt. What you gonna do when you got Jadeveon Clowney coming for a blitz? That's 3 individuals. You only got 5 offensive linemen. You're gonna have 3 dedicated to that whole side, and somebody's gonna get doubled. We don't know. But that's one thing I love, the chess pieces that Evero has with this particular unit in the 3-4 scheme. Yeah, I wish it was a 4-3 because it'll be easier to get. But with a 3-4, he's standing up. He doesn't have to get off. He can just run across the line. So on Thursday, I definitely think right now I'll put a green check mark against for the Carolina Panthers defensive line and going against the New York Jets. If we do not provide pressure, though, we had 2 sacks come Thursday night. Pressure's supposed to bust pipes, but we got as many pressures as we could, but we didn't finally get the quarterback on the ground. We saw what happened when Milton got in. You provided pressure, but you allowed him to be an escape artist. Yes, I understand that was 3s. Milton probably should have been playing way before he did, but still, when you provide pressure, you have to attack, you have to finish. And that's one thing I'm hoping with us only having 20 around sub 20 sacks. We're up where we can provide pressure, but you're capitalizing, you're finishing the play. Again, like Terrence said, everything that you see on Thursday is probably what you're going to get during the season. If we're providing pressure, and I'm not talking about, they're going to blow the whistle, but if you're able to provide pressure, it needs to be a sack there as well. It's not that, I got there. No, make them stop the play because it was too much pressure in Aaron Rodgers' face.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll comment on this really, really briefly. I think that front 7, I think you fare relatively well by giving us the green check mark, just based off what I've seen specifically with that D line. The names that you mentioned have been dominant. Now I know we've talked about our O line and them being questionable and guys being injured, whatever. But I will say this D line has been very, very, very impressive. And more specifically, Jadeveon Clowney, bro. I don't know what it is. Like I mentioned this and moved the chains today or Sunday. I mentioned this and moved the chains. I don't know if it's because he's playing home. I don't know. I haven't seen him go through a training camp before, so I don't know how he typically practices. But what I will say is he looks different, bro. He looks different, and I think he is going to abuse that offensive line for the New York Jets. We know what we have in the record-setting Derek Brown. On the opposite side, I'm still not sold on DJ Johnson. They gas him up. They love gassing him up. And I honestly, for the life of me, don't know why. I don't know why, respectfully. But, those guys, you got Robinson. He's going to plug up the middle. Huge, huge human being as well. And then, obviously, the emergence of Ikuliota. That's another storyline that is going to kind of, we're going to see how it ends up playing out for the duration of this week, because he went crazy on Thursday against the Patriots. He did. He looked very good. Now, I don't know where people get off comparing him to Frankie Louvu. The only comparison really and the only similarities is the fact that they both Samoan. Other than that, it really, really just stops. But
that might be the comparison.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what all it has to be and can be. But I think he's gonna add. I think he does add something different to this pass rusher group as well, and the D line overall. So I think that we will fare off relatively well. But I do agree with you when you say we have to finish the play, though. We have to finish the play, because that Joe Milton thing where he's running 45 yards to make a pass down the field because we're not wrapping up and it's a 3rd down conversion, like that's not something that I can live with, bro. Like over the past 3 or 4 years, I've just dealt with so much mental health issues because of this team. And that one right there is something specifically that I can't see. So it's definitely imperative that we do play through the echo of the whistle, something else that Dave Canales has said on multiple occasions.
I don't really have much to say. I just hope that this D-line is everything that JJ has deemed them to be. That people has been that people that has been going to the practices deem them to be, because I don't really feel great with DJ Johnson on the other side. I really wish that, we either had Amari Barno healthy, DJ Wanham. It's just I don't know. I think that Ashawn Robinson and Derrick Brown will pair well together. I think they'll really wreak havoc up the middle. But Derrick Brown is not a big sack guy, so I don't think you're gonna get anything unusual there to where he's just gonna be in the backfield sacking the quarterback. He's really just a run stuffer, which is great. But I think that there could be situations to where we can see Jadeveon Clowney getting chipped a lot. And so if Jadeveon Clowney is continuing to get chipped, we have to have guys like DJ Johnson to step up. Leota, those guys have to step up. Caleb on Chason, he has to step up. I didn't really see too much from him in that preseason game, I'll be honest. So it just kind of gives me cause for pause. I'm not really that sold on this defense. As I said earlier in the show, I'm just not really that sold. So I feel like this is going to tell me a lot as well based on what happens in this joint practice throughout this week, because I just don't know. Like, I can put my faith in Jadeveon Clowney and know that he's going to make me money, and Derrick Brown and Ashawn Robinson, just because of the positions they play and just because of the tenure that they have and what caliber players they are. But those other guys that we have to rely on, I don't really trust them. I can't trust it. I can't put my money in DJ Johnson's hand. I can't put my money in Caleb on Chason's hand.
You'll lose that shit.
Yeah, I know. And I think that this week is really it's either gonna make or break those guys. I ain't gonna lie. Because DJ Johnson, he's just terrible to me. But I digress.
I'll say this. Like I said, we covered a lot, man. Really, the answers for the roster and the state of the Carolina Panthers will be answered on Thursday, man. I hate putting so much stock into one practice, but this is just not one ordinary practice. This is a joint practice where you schedule it. We could have scheduled anybody in the NFL. We want to go against the Jets. I know Robert Saleh and Dave Canales have a connection back in their Seattle days, whatever. But this is time to go to work. O-line. Hey, protect your quarterback. Wide receivers. You already know you're the talk of the town. You were brought in for a reason. Bryce, there ain't nothing to be said. Everybody's talking about Caleb Williams. Everybody's talking about C.J. Stroud. Everybody's talking about Anthony Richardson. Like Terrence said, a lot of quarterbacks played week one. Show why you didn't. D-line, what can you guys do against a mid O-line in the New York Jets? Mid. I ain't talking about top 10. I ain't even talking about top 15. Really mid, below 15 offensive line unit. Again, I can't wait, man. I definitely appreciate JJ and Terrence definitely joining us, man. For the New York Jet fans, if you do hear this, we really didn't trash you guys. It really gave you guys a lot of credit, man. We're very critical of our team. You guys, I ain't gonna really go into how I feel about Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, you got A-Rod back. I mean, you guys D-line is, bringing in the pieces that you guys brought in, trying to beef up that offensive line. And if you guys stay healthy, who knows? But again, I appreciate JJ and Terrence coming along. I can't wait to see them Wednesday, man, at the joint practice. At practice, but I also see them at joint practice. But go ahead and tell the people where they can find you guys at JJ and Terrence.
For sure, man. You guys, first and foremost, thank you so much for having us, Doug. Always great to get to collaborate with other content creators, specifically, in the Carolina Panthers space. So very, very grateful for that. You guys can find us at the G2S Network on YouTube. You can search for Panthers Fans Only. Also in the search bar, we'll pop right up on that. On Instagram and TikTok, you can find us at For Panthers Fans Only. Twitter, you can find us at FPFO_podcast. And you can find us also on all DSPs. If you're just, wanting to listen, you can find the audio on those sites as well. Personal IG, if you like the personality, you can find me at the Mythic JJ or at the Life of JJ. I don't know. Everybody can't get accepted into the Life of JJ because that's a different one, But, it is what it is for sure. And then at Terrence 1027.
Yeah. Let me say my own stuff.
Matter of
But
fact, hey, my bad, bit, bro. My bad, bit, bro. You right. Plug your joint. My fault.
Yeah, like you said, Doug, appreciate you for having us on.
Yes, sir.
Always great to talk to other people in the Panthers fan base just to see where everybody's heads is at. But I appreciate you having us, showing us love today. Like JJ said, those are all the places you can find us on the podcast as a whole. My personal IG at Terrence 1027. I think it's at 1027 or underscore 1027. I don't really remember, but irregardless,
I'm helping you out. I'm helping you out. I know it.
Irregardless, that's where you can find me at. But yeah, appreciate you tuning in and letting us come on and chop it up with you today.
Yes, sir, man. Like I said, bigger and better things, man. I had a pleasure of meeting these two gentlemen and their platform on Two Fans in the Stands. And JJ and I definitely been talking for a couple of months, and I was like, hey, I got something special. I just want you guys one-on-one. Like, let's go ahead and break down this joint practice, at least give a couple of points. And then when we at there at training camp, we can definitely be like, hey, you need to go back. We talked about this. We said X, Y, and Z. So I definitely appreciate, him and Terrence pulling up, man. But we're going to do something like we always used to do when we first started, man. We're going to end with a quote, and we're going to get out of here, man. So a quote for today is from the famous, rest in peace, Muhammad Ali. Champions are made in gyms. Champions are made from something they have deep inside of them, a desire, a dream, and a vision. It's your man, C. Dougie, over here at What's Up, Doug, man. Everybody take care. Stay safe. Stay blessed. Peace.